You're listening to the DolphinsTalk.com podcast network.
You are listening to the FinFans podcast, where we discuss everything Miami Dolphins. It's the off season, and we're looking forward to a fresh new start under different management in 2026. We hope you'll join us and enjoy the show. And it's another FinFans podcast. With me today are the Ragones. We've got a lot to talk about. We had a roster addition. We're going to talk about, obviously, the big news, which is Achane's contract. Talk very little about the salary cap, some things that make our tough schedule tougher, and then we'll go over the season schedule. How are you guys? Chris?
Doing good, Mike. I'm doing good. The schedule just came out. Going to start making some plans around it. So, it's a fun time.
Yeah. Lewis?
Yeah. Great. Excited. Schedule's out. We knew what it was going to be. Now we know
when it's going to be.
Now we know when it's going to be. And they didn't really do us an awful lot of favors, I'll tell you what. I mean, my goodness. It's kind of I don't know. We'll talk about it when we get to that. But it's interesting. I looked at it, and it's it wasn't favorable in regard to opponents, but, there's a bunch of other factors involved, too, that we'll talk about.
Well, the roster addition they made, they signed defensive tackle James Easter off waivers from the Packers. They waived him earlier in the week. He was on their practice squad. He hasn't played an NFL snap as far as I know. And he did work with Hafley for a year, I guess, maybe 2 years. And they're thinking, at least Hafley is thinking, about potentially moving him to guard. So it'll be interesting to see if anything comes of that. Now, he filled the spot on the roster, running back free agent Le'Veon Moss, who decided to retire.
Yeah, that was interesting. I mean, I know the guy dealt with some injuries that probably had a big part in it. But, yeah, that sucked because I was looking forward to seeing if he could crack the roster.
Yeah. A lot of people thought he had some potential as a short yardage back.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the big news is they signed Achane, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's something we were hoping would happen, and it happened, and it was a good deal for both sides. The deal itself is $65.4 million over 5 years, and the team has a reasonable out after years 3 and 4. So if his production does fall off, the team is protected. If he excels, he's got incentives he can meet. He can actually bring that value up to $17 million per year. So, everybody should be happy. This is what a contract should look like. Both sides coming together and making it fair for each. And I think that's a job well done by the front office.
Yeah, I agree, 110%. The fact that, when you look at all the moves and all the guys that were cut loose, and, this is the one guy, we felt him and Brooks, Brooks is still here too, right?
Yep.
We felt that Brooks, to a lesser degree, was a guy that we needed to bring back as well. And, they still may move him. I mean, we don't know. They still may trade him for a draft pick next year, whatever the case may be. I think they're going to, they'll wait and see how, the young guys come along, right? And see if he is, expendable, per se, right?
I would agree.
But Achane, that I felt was an absolute necessity because he's a dynamic player, and God, they just don't come that often. They really don't. I mean, when was the last time we had a guy that from anywhere on the field can take it to the house? It was Ricky, right? And he was dynamic, and it's been years. We did have Tyreek, who was a dynamic player at the wide receiver position, but this guy, for the money, like you said, Mike, it's a fair deal for both sides. There's incentives involved for Achane, and then, we're protected as well. I mean, just the perfect scenario. and a guy that we can be excited about, and a guy that I feel Malik Willis needs, as a guy that we're evaluating the next 2 years. The threat of him in the backfield, compared to, say, a Wright and Ollie Gordon, the drop off, from those two guys, it's extreme. It really is. I mean, the threat of Achane, if you're a defensive coordinator and a defensive team coming in, and you're, right out of the gate, you're thinking, man, we've really got to deal with Achane. That's first and foremost. This is going to be a big help to Malik Willis as well, and I'm just ecstatic over the fact that that he's going to be with us for the next few years. I love it.
Yeah, and the thing that's interesting too is so Jeremiah Love, the running back who went, I think it was 3rd overall to Arizona, he got a fully guaranteed contract, which was $55 million. And when we're looking at this Achane contract, $64 million over 4 years, can get up to $68 million, but only 32 of it's guaranteed. So like you guys were saying, I mean, if his game falls off within the next couple of years, there is an easy out without us having a bunch of dead cap. So,
Chris, it's really 5 years.
Is it?
Yeah, because he's under his
he's on this year, yeah. So that's nice. That's definitely a nice number. 16 million when you think about the type of player he is. When you look at guys like Waddle and Tyreek and even Tua, who is getting 40 million a year, it's crazy. The only two guys that are making more is Saquon at $20 million a year, and then CMC McCaffrey, who's making 19. So. Right. Especially the thing that I really like too is they got this done before the Jahmyr Gibbs and the Bijan Robinson extensions got done, because had we waited, that number would have definitely got higher. So it was just good business. Yeah, good business on both sides.
Yep. And you know what? You got to give him, Achane, a little bit of credit here too, because the fact that, some guys just don't want to come back. They just don't want to be. They don't want to be part of a rebuild. And, he's up in his career now. This is going to be year what? 4?
4, yeah.
It's, he's in a position now to where he could have really said, I don't really want to sign with the Dolphins. I don't want an extension. Let's just go out and,
let's test the waters.
Test the waters. Maybe I go to a contender. Any one of these teams that are like on the verge of being a real, a Super Bowl contender, he could have went that route, and he chose not to. And that you gotta love in itself. So, obviously he's been impressed by the new regime. Otherwise, that would have been another factor in him not deciding to come back, right? Obviously he has to like what he's seeing in regard to what the organization is doing. And it's positives all over the place. This offseason's been, to me, nothing but positives as compared to in past years negatives for the most part, right?
Yeah.
No Tyreek Hill bullshit to deal with, and no Greer scratching your head draft picks and, saying, what the hell are we doing? Why didn't we address the offensive line once again? That type of stuff. It was always, just a scratch your head type of off season for us. So.
I'm going to paraphrase what Kimbo Kemper said.
Okay.
And he basically said, this is the first time since Jimmy Johnson left that he felt like it's a football team. It's a football front office. It feels like a Don Shula front office.
Right. Yeah. I'd agree with that. I don't know, what goes on. None of us do. The three of us, we wouldn't know what goes on in the front office and how they go about business and everything. What we do know is that there were failures in the last regime. The head coaches, that we've had, we've had what since Shula? How many? 7? 8? I don't even know. It's quite a few, right, at this point? I just don't know their approach. We do know the results. So for him to say that, he's got a little bit of inside information. But me personally, looking at this offseason and this regime that's coming in, this is by far the most excited I've been in years. I mean, years. It's been years. I mean, Saban, I had a little bit of excitement about when he came in.
I did as well.
But past that, I mean, Philbin and Gase and, Flores, at first, I wasn't so sure about that move. I liked him once he was here and how the things the team accomplished. But this is by far, the best I felt about offseason moves, front office, head coach, personnel moves in a long, long time. I mean, a long time. I'm loving it.
Yeah, I mean, the same thing. Like I said, I mean, I love the contracts. I love what they're doing. They've made a lot of tough decisions this offseason, but we talked about it a little bit on the past couple ones. But, going into next year, we're going to have a lot of money. And from the looks of this schedule, we're going to have a pretty high draft pick. So, I mean, we may have to swallow our medicine this year. And, we're going to be watching games not necessarily to see wins, but to see how these young players are progressing throughout the season and see if we have any real keepers. Because, this draft to me is huge for John Eric Sullivan and for Hafley, the coach.
Yep.
So, I mean, we have to come out of this season with a couple solid starters. Hopefully guys like Jacob Rodriguez, Caden Proctor, Chris Johnson, hopefully those guys can become Pro Bowl guys, and really cornerstones of what we're trying to build here. But, I can't really complain about anything they've done this offseason because I think they're doing it the right way.
They're doing what they have to do.
Yeah.
Simple as that. They cleared the books, and I'm going to talk about that in a second. But they cleared the books, and they've put themselves in a position to where they can take their lumps this year, and then next year, they'll still have some dead money from Tua and what have you, but it won't be as crippling as it is this year, and they'll have much more money to spend in free agency if they should want to, as you had mentioned. So they'll have a lot more flexibility, and they'll be able to fill some of the holes that we currently have. And then, of course, you have another draft class coming in.
Mm-hmm.
So they should be in a much better position next year and an even better position the year after. So, it's the arrow is pointing up is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I agree.
So, but, it's going to be a rough year. To give you an idea, our salary, okay, the salary cap is $301 million, plus you're allowed to carry money over from the previous year in addition to that and what have you. And we have a positional allocation, offense and defense combined, of $160 million. That's our salary. That's what we're paying out. Dead money, $179 million. Okay, so that's more than half. That's more than the whole total of you're paying your roster.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. So
for guys that aren't here.
Yeah. 11 teams exceeded that $160 million on offense alone.
Wow.
Yeah.
To give you an idea. So we're definitely going to be at a disadvantage week to week. And 6 teams exceeded that on defense. We're going to be playing some of those teams. So, a
lot of them.
Yeah.
Not some, a lot.
Yeah. So, it's going to be difficult. And
yeah.
They put together our schedule, and we're at a rest disadvantage in many of the weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Teams coming off, because we play every Sunday, and teams will be coming off a Thursday night game, so they'll have 10 days rest, whereas we'll only have 6. So that makes a difference, and that makes a schedule tougher than it is. But let's talk about the schedule. Week 1, we play the Raiders out in Las Vegas. Now, the odds I have today are from DraftKings, and the Raiders are a 3-point favorite.
Yeah.
What do you think, Lewis?
I think I don't know about that, in regard to the Raiders. I mean, this game's going to be interesting. The offense, and I've talked about this before, our offense, I think our offense is going to be pretty good. I don't think I think the defense is where we may struggle a little bit. We thought that last year as well, with the secondary being what it was, and they actually did, a very decent job as far as I was concerned last year. So, the Raiders have some question marks as well all over the place.
Of course.
They should be a 3-point favorite. Basically, all they're doing is giving the Raiders the home field. Other than that, they feel that we're, evenly matched football team. So, I think it's a winnable game. Again, it just depends on how well the offense plays and, how good the defense will be. Raiders do have a great tight end. Who's quarterbacking for him? I guess the rookie will be, right out of the gate? I don't know.
So they're saying that Kirk Cousins may end up starting off the season, but I don't know. Mendoza seems like he's pretty NFL ready, so yeah. Maybe they wheel him out in week 3 or week 5 or something like that. But yeah, we may be seeing Kirk Cousins at the helm for that game week 1.
So.
Yeah, so when you look at them as a whole, I think it's a winnable game. It's not like, they're going to be a world beater of a football team. So,
well, with our lack of pass rush, at least they know where Cousins is going to be in the pocket.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And who knows what they may blitz him a lot and have him shitting in his pants every play. And, So, anyway, we'll see. Right. It's a winnable game, though.
I think so. I think it's winnable, but but you also have the fact you got a new system on offense, you got a new system on defense, and you got a bunch of rookies.
Right.
Tell you what,
are they ready to play?
That could benefit us, Mike, because there's really not going to be an awful lot of film on what we like to do per se with this, with this new regime in,
Mm-hmm.
So it could work to our advantage. Go ahead. What were you guys going to? Somebody was going to.
Yeah, I was going to say these young linebackers, Jacob Rodriguez and Kyle Lewis, are going to have their hands full with Brock Bowers. So we're going to see off the rip how good that they really are in coverage, because that's what we've been reading. Jacob Rodriguez is pretty good in coverage, and then Kyle Lewis being the former safety. So we're gonna see. We're gonna have a nice test there week 1.
No doubt.
All right, what we're going to do is we're going to take a step back for just a couple minutes, and we'll be right back.
In week 2, we go out in your neck of the woods, Chris, to San Francisco. They are 10.5-point underdogs, and that'll be their second West Coast game in a row.
Mm-hmm.
They'll probably stay out there in between the games, I'd imagine.
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah, when was the last time that you saw us open a season way, way out west 2 weeks in a row to where, we're starting the year. Yeah. You got training camp, and I don't know what our schedule is going to be like if we're going to be scrimmaging against other teams in the preseason. Right. I haven't seen anything announced in regard to that. And I don't know how this new head coach approaches that. I don't know if they even choose to do stuff like that. I know the last coach that was here like that a lot, So with that being said, to start the year 2 weeks in a row on the road away from home, that's tough right out of the gate, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the Niners are in a weird place too, because they've went through some change in the offseason. Kittle, I think it was his Achilles. It was either his Achilles or his ACL that he tore at the end of the last season. They lost Juwan Jennings. Who knows what's going on with Brandon Ayuk? I don't think anybody sees him coming back, especially with the 49ers. So it's just, they're an interesting team.
Defense is a very good one.
They are, but Fred Warner's coming off a pretty serious injury. Bosa's coming off a serious injury. So they're kind of not in limbo, but, they're going to be a team that I'm interested to see how they play. Purdy has kind of regressed a little bit. He's dealt with his fair share of injuries. So, right. This is a game that I'm most likely going to go to because the stadium's about 30 minutes from my house. So I'll be excited for that. And I think it'll be a little bit better game. 10 points is a lot. I can see that them end up beating us by that, but I can see us, if everything goes right, us being competitive in this game. And then, we'll see.
I don't know. Second road game away, I tend to think that 10.5 line is probably going to be covered.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it just, again, it just depends, on how well the defense plays. I think this team's going to be very prepared week in and week out. I don't see us getting blown out in any way, shape, or form. And this San Francisco team, as Chris mentioned, I mean, their wide receiver situation, I mean, it's all over the place. Without Kittle possibly being there at the beginning of the year or at full strength, I mean, they still have McCaffrey, and, their defense was still very solid, even with the guys missing that you mentioned, Chris. But, that is a big number. And I think, again, I think we're going to be competitive week in and week out. It should be a good football game. A good test for us, without a doubt.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Then we get our first home game, September 27th against the Kansas City Chiefs, and we are 7-point underdogs.
Yeah, and that one's interesting too because I think most likely we're going to be seeing Justin Fields at the helm for them. Mahomes tore his ACL later in the year. I know they're saying he's making really good progress. So maybe he'll be back, but I'm assuming that he'll probably miss the first 4 or 5 weeks. Justin Fields is played decent the last couple of years. I mean, not so great last year with the Jets, but the year before with the Steelers, he was actually pretty good. I mean, they started off 3-1 and they benched him for whatever reason for Russell Wilson, and then their season kind of went down the drain there. But the Chiefs are another one of those interesting teams. I mean, Kelsey's back. They got Xavier Worthy on the outside. Rashee Rice isn't going to face any discipline from the league regarding his off-the-field stuff that he's dealt with this offseason. So, I mean, especially if Justin Fields is playing, I mean, they're a team that they could be good, but this is another game where, I can see us squeaking it out if it is Justin Fields. If Mahomes is back, it's going to be hard, but this is one of our only 1:00 game at home within the first 4 or 5 weeks. So hopefully them sitting in the sun and them frying under that sun will help us out a little bit. But the schedule makers definitely didn't give us no slack with that. It seems like since that Buffalo game, and I think it was 22, when they complained to the league and this, that, and the third, that, the schedule makers the last couple of years are just like, okay, you guys get 1, maybe 2 of those games where it's really hot in September and October.
Yeah, I mean, September we have 1 home game. So, and that was always an advantage to us. They took that away. So, I agree with you. That first, September is just absolutely brutal in South Florida. It's as bad as August year in year out. So, yeah, I mean, it kind of hurts. And that's, as you mentioned, Chris, that is an interesting team. They've got a lot of question marks all over the place. So we'll see. They were a disappointment last year. So we'll see how they come out. Without Mahomes, obviously they're a much different team.
Mm-hmm. We've lost the last 5 in a row against them.
Yeah.
Damn.
All right. The next week, I don't mean to be negative, but they have.
Sure, you don't, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Week 4 at Minnesota, 4:00 game. We're 7.5 point underdogs.
Mm-hmm.
And should be. Minnesota's a well-coached football team. They'll again, the quarterback situation there. You got Kyle Murray, who to me, he basically has been an underachiever, the last couple of years. Hasn't really done well. But, man, they have some dynamic football players, and this is going to be a true test, at our defense. It's going to be quite interesting. And their defense always plays pretty well, too. They're a well-coached football team. This is going to be a tough game for us.
And McCarthy might actually be playing. I mean, we don't even know who's going to win that quarterback job.
That's true. Yeah, you never know.
They're a team that, like you said, definitely has weapons. They got a couple good backs. They got Jefferson, Addison, and then They added Juwan Jennings from the Niners that we talked about a little bit earlier. So got Hawkinson at tight end. They got a nice plethora of offensive guys, and then like you said, their defense with Flores coaching and our old guy Van Ginkel over there. I mean, that's going to be. I think that's going to be our first really tough game.
I agree.
The next week, they come home and play the Cincinnati Bengals October 11th, and we're 5.5-point underdogs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Cincinnati, Joe Burrow, if he's healthy. Jamar Chase, woo! Tough.
Chase Brown, they kicked our ass at the end of last year. I think, what was that? That was Ewers' second start?
Yeah.
And he actually had a pretty good first half, and then in the second half, it kind of tailed off through a couple picks. Chase Brown was just their running back, was just killing us.
Yeah. Out of the backfield, catching the ball. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, every year is different. Guys come, go. Some key guys, are gone. Some of the, I mean, Gesicki's still in Cincinnati, right?
Yeah.
And he's still on the contract.
They brought him back.
Burrow's tough. It's again, this is going to be 2 weeks in a row. Minnesota, Cincinnati. You've got some real good offensive players on both of those football teams. I mean, some of the best. I mean, you think about the fact that the secondary is going to be going up against Jefferson and then Jamar Chase the following week. Those are two of the best in the league.
Rookie's going to have to earn his money.
Yep, he sure is.
Yep, and they're going to test him, and it's good. Hey, get those notches on your belt. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Experience is the key to it all. So it's going to be a tough test for the defense again.
And what's interesting about us bringing up the rookie Chris Johnson, whether it is Sully or Halfley, they've kind of talked about him playing in the nickel a lot, which, I don't necessarily like if they're moving him in there sometimes when a guy like Jefferson or Chase is playing in the slot, then that's fine. But if you're playing this guy in the slot and you have guys like that on the outside with, Ethan Bonner and, Storm Duck, who knows what he's going to be coming off of injury. I don't necessarily like that too much. I mean, I like that he is versatile and he can play the nickel, but I don't know if we necessarily want him playing nickel when we're playing teams like that, given the fact that he's probably going to be our best corner going into this year.
Well, again, let's not question, their thought process. I mean, there's obvious reasons that we probably aren't aware of at this point if that's what they're talking about. I mean, maybe
Brents is healthy. I think he can claim one of those outside spots.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We'll see. I mean, there's so much in between now and the start of the season that's going to take place. So, I mean, that's all speculative right now, and I don't think we should really be concerned with it at this point.
I'm going to be real concerned if he's lined up at the nickel and Storm Ducks guarding Jamar Chase.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you may very well see that, but they're not going to do it just because, Chris. I mean, there's going to be obvious reasons as to why they decide to do that. And
he may be our best nickel corner, but if he's also our best outside corner,
All right.
We'll see.
Yep. Now, the next week we have our bye, week 6, which is early for a bye, but it is.
Not a fan of that.
They'll probably need the rest after those first 5
games.
5 games.
Well, if you think they needed a rest after the first 5, Mike, the next 12, they need a couple more bye weeks. But
it's just starting out with 2 games on the West Coast does not do them any favors. They're gonna be tired.
Yeah.
So anyway, at the Jets the next week, 2.5-point underdogs.
Right.
So
a pretty even game.
Yeah, that's a game where you figure we can put up a fighting chance, but the Jets have gotten better. I don't think you're going to sleep on them.
No.
But we'll see.
Yeah, they added a ton of talent to that offensive side. of the football in their draft. I kind of liked what they did in the draft. The only thing is Geno Smith's going to be at the helm most likely.
Exactly.
I mean, this is week 7. They did draft a quarterback, Cade Klubnik from Clemson. I think it was like in the 4th or 5th round. So who knows? Maybe he might even be starting by week 7 if they don't like what they're seeing from Geno.
It's possible. Geno did not look good in with the Raiders last year at any point.
They ended up with the first overall pick, so maybe the Jets are looking to do the same thing. Their defense has definitely taken a step back, losing guys like Quinnen Williams, Sauce Gardner last year, and them mainly going offense in this draft that just happened. So,
right,
like you guys said, I think that's an even game. That's going to be one of the few games that I think is actually going to be winnable, even if it's in New York. I mean, it's October, end of October, so we're not going to be dealing with no blizzards or anything like that. Should be nice weather.
No, and we usually have good fan support out there.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Definitely.
Week 8, back home against the New England Patriots, and we are 7-point underdogs.
Yeah, sounds about right. I mean, they're a team last year. We talked about it after their Super Bowl run. They were very lucky last year to be in the position that they were in and how the injuries fell in the playoffs. I think they're going to take a step back this year. And then I don't really want to get into this too much, but with the whole head coach situation that he's got going on with the reporter, I mean, there's just more and more stuff that keeps coming out that's just kind of weird. So, I mean, I think maybe we can see something like, getting to the point where he's like, all right, I'm going to step away for a little bit. He already did that on the 3rd day of the draft. So that's an interesting situation.
There was speculation that was a team suspension, but who knows?
Yeah, I mean, that's his personal stuff, so I don't know. I'm not going to say he should or shouldn't be disciplined by the team or by the league for that. But yeah, they're going to be an interesting team to see how they bounce back. They didn't really add too much in free agency. Their draft was all right. I didn't think they did anything great. So, I mean, this is going to be a game. It's at home. Beginning of November, it's probably not going to be as hot, but anytime we're at home, I feel like it's somewhat of an advantage. So this is a game I'm definitely going to have circled to see how they come out and how they fight.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think New England will take a step back. I think that they're going to have a much tougher schedule this year, and I think they're a very solid football team, but they're not dynamic. In any way, shape, or form. They just do a lot of things well, and like you said, Chris, they were fortunate through the playoffs. They had a lot of things fall their way, so I think at this point in the season, we're about halfway through, we're going to start seeing where exactly we are as a football team at this point, what our needs are going to be, what guys are excelling, what some of the younger guys like Grant and our guard, if they're in the starting positions, if they're playing any better than they did last year. So, at this point in the season, I think we're going to just see the quarterback situation, the receivers, everybody, pretty much should be on the same page at this point. So I think this will be a good football game.
I think you hit on something there that's really important. I mean, this is about the time the team should be gelling.
Right.
It's also about the time of the trade deadline.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So that's going to be significant as well.
That'll be interesting to see what they decide to do. I mean, there's not a lot there, though, Mike, left. There's not a lot. There's not a lot of meat on the bone.
If the linebackers come in and are doing a good job, maybe Brooks becomes expendable. There are things they can do.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, past him, though, who else is there, Mike? I mean, unless we sign some free agents late, some veteran free agents that can help teams. I mean, if you look at the roster, Brooks is the guy that obviously stands out. But past him, I mean, there's not an awful lot, right?
Maybe. I mean, Brewer's another guy who's looking for an extension if we don't extend. I mean, I just don't see us moving him, though. I mean, if you get rid of Brewer, then,
halfway through the season, how does that help Malik?
I don't see that happening. But that's one of the only guys that would have some type of trade value.
Well, that's what I was saying. I don't think there's.
It's just not a lot.
Yeah, Brooks, Mike, you're right on in regard to him, but past that, if you look at our roster, there's just not a lot.
There's not a lot of meat on the bone. I agree.
Yeah, and not to where we're going to get anything of value really back either. I mean, he's a guy that we may be able to get maybe a third rounder for. Possibly.
Maybe.
Yeah. But anyway, all right. Again, we're speculating.
Yeah, of course.
All right, guys, we're going to break for a few moments, and we'll be right back.
All right, next we have the Detroit Lions at home. 1 o'clock game. We're 6.5-point underdogs.
Wow, that's a small number.
Yeah.
Interesting. I would have thought they would have been bigger underdogs.
Well, if they were in Detroit, it would have been, right?
Yeah. Tough team.
Yeah.
Tough team. That's going to be a real test. Their offense, they have weapons. This is probably, if you look at the schedule up to this point as a whole, between quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, the whole kit and caboodle. This is
offensive line.
Yeah, offensive line. This is the best offensive team that we're probably going to see over the course of the whole season, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, offensively, they're just a good football team. They're going to be really. This is a real test for the defense. So I think it's going to be a tough game.
Yeah, and this is a team that kind of took a step back last year. And they lost Alex Anzalone, their middle linebacker, who was pretty good for them. Their defense kind of was struggled, but also their offense. I mean, as many studs as they have all over the place, their offense and Jared Goff struggled.
They did at times.
We've seen in the past, if you put pressure on Goff, the problem is I don't see where this pressure is going to be coming from. But we still got some time to add a few guys. I think we're going to see a lot of calculated linebacker blitzes this year. So, this is a game that I think we're probably going to lose. But at the same time, we'll see. We'll see how the Lions bounce back, because they didn't even make the playoffs last year after having, I think they had a top 3 or top 5 seed in the NFC the year prior.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Their defense was just absolutely decimated.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, they had their secondary. I mean, God, they were losing guys every single week, backups to backups, and they were just depleted on the defensive side of the football. And the offense, as you said, they did not play well. So it'll be a good game. I mean, I'm excited about some of these games because I love some of these, these players that we're going to be competing against. And I'm just excited about, the challenges, ahead, with the schedule.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Youngsters are going to have to grow up
quickly, which is fine. Fine. That's what we want,
Yeah. Week 10, we go to Indianapolis for the 3rd year in a row, where we have not fared well, and we're 6.5-point underdogs.
Mm-hmm. Jonathan Taylor. I don't know what to say about this game. Indianapolis is just an enigma to me. You feel like you've got the quarterback coming back, right? He missed how many?
Well, he's off. He's coming off a torn Achilles,
so he may not be back week 1.
I don't think he'll be back week 1, but by week 10 he'll probably be back.
I mean, that's what I meant. I'm sorry, week 10. He should be back by then, Chris, I would think, no?
Yeah, I mean, he could, unless he suffers a setback or, he's a guy who's dealt with a lot of injuries, torn ACLs, now this torn Achilles. I mean, he's been in the league for a while now, so, as these guys get older and they deal with different injuries, sometimes they don't come back as fast or they just don't come back as the same player. They traded away Michael Pittman to Pittsburgh. They gave Alec Pierce, their big receiver, who's a nice deep threat, a lot of money. They got our guy who I would have loved if we drafted him last year, Tyler Warren, at the tight end position. So, solid offensive line, good defense. They're a well-coached team. Lou Amarillo on the defensive side is a really good defensive coach. So, yeah, it should be a tough game. Hopefully some of the players that were on this team last year remember how bad they kicked our ass, and they're like, yeah, that's not happening again. So
Do
exactly.
you know which Achilles he tore?
I don't.
Okay.
Daniel Jones, I mean, his one of his strengths is running with the football and his ability to scramble around and whatnot. Coming off an Achilles, it's definitely going to be a little bit different Daniel Jones type of quarterback, I think. So, again, another interesting game, another big test.
I think for a quarterback, the right Achilles is a more significant injury because that's the leg you plant, you step into your throw with. So.
Right.
The next week, we go to Buffalo, and we are 11.5-point underdogs. That'll be their new stadium.
Yeah. The end of November, might see some snow. It's definitely going to be a little chilly down there. Buffalo's a weird team. I mean, they're always going to be right in the middle of the pack as far as playoff teams, but, will they be a top 3 seed or will they, be a wild card team like they were last year? I don't know. Keon Coleman, their first round receiver, has kind of, from a couple of years back, has kind of been a bust. Kincaid, their tight end, has been in and out of the lineup since he's been drafted. They have a very solid running back in James Cook, good offensive line, and, they got a top 3 quarterback in the league. So, it's weird, though, because I feel like the last few years we haven't been playing the Bills until later on in the season for the first time. Is that correct? Do you guys feel like that, too, or is that...
No, I think we played them
early last year
on Thursdays. I think Thursday night games very early. I mean, 2 years back, I know it was an early game, and I think last year it was. But yeah, I mean, playing them in Buffalo this late, and then the fact that they come to, well, we'll get to that, but then they come to us, in January when, the weather's actually really, really nice. It's not hot. I mean, God, they did Buffalo a big favor there, by having that. And we play them, twice in the second half of the season, late in the year. So
we haven't won in Buffalo since 2016.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's going to be but you know what, Mike? We've had good games up there, which is interesting because
close but no cigar.
Close but no cigar. Yeah. I mean, 50 we lost a 60-yard field goal, I think, the 1 year up there. I mean, what was interesting about Tua, was the fact that he had some pretty decent games against Buffalo, at least for 3 quarters, right?
Yeah. 2022, I remember, I think it was 22, when it was freaking snowing, and we were like, man, we don't have a shot in hell. And that game came down to the end,
Yeah. I mean,
like Mike said, close but no cigar.
Close but no cigar. Yeah, funny, very funny. But again, you've got Josh Allen and Cook. You've got two really, really solid guys that can kill you running the football there. But their passing game, who knows? Every year is different. Their defense may be much better. They have a new coach there, right? I mean. Yeah, it's going to be a different football team, and we don't know what direction they're going to go in. I mean, they could be a 500 team when all is said and done. So I mean, listen, as you look and we keep doing this week in and week out, it's going to be an interesting season without a doubt. I mean, I'm loving it.
And they traded for DJ Moore. I forgot to mention that. I forgot about that. So I think he'll make a pretty good impact, even though him being a little bit of an older wide receiver. His production fell off last year in Chicago, but I think that was just due to them having a lot of weapons. They have 2 good tight ends, 3 good receivers, and then a couple good backs. So
yeah,
but it's going to be interesting to see that.
We know. I mean, we know firsthand when it comes to these veteran receivers. I mean, DJ Moore's got to be in year 6 or 7, right? I would think.
At least. He might even be going into year 8.
I mean, we've seen it firsthand where, we get excited about, these veteran receivers, and, they're marginal players at this point in their career. So, it's good. They're going to be an interesting team. As long as they have Josh Allen, they're always going to be competitive and a threat. Absolutely. Yep.
All right. The next week, we go home and we play the New York Jets, who are 1.5-point underdogs.
The stink at home we're underdogs. I mean, come on. I mean, boy, they really, really aren't. We are not favored in one game this year.
That is correct.
Yeah, and this is a game that I feel that we probably should be. I mean, the Jets, I think, are right on par with us. If you look at our offense as a whole, going against their defense. I mean, I think that's a really good matchup for us. So, I can't understand being at home and being an underdog to the Jets. But we'll see.
Remember, odds are made because of public perception, not necessarily because of how they think the team will actually perform. If you follow what I mean.
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean, Mike.
So,
yep.
Anyway.
All right.
Next week at Denver, 9.5-point underdogs.
Yeah, tough game. Tough game. Nix is, good football player. Waddle's gonna be trying that. They're gonna try and rub salt in an open wound there. They're a really good football team. This is gonna be a really, really tough game for us on the road. Probably might be the toughest game out of all of them on the schedule as far as road games are concerned. Very tough.
It's always tough in Denver because of the altitude.
Yeah, and I mean in December. I mean, Jesus. I mean, come on. They send us to Green Bay, Denver, and New England. Yep. I mean, we've got, and I know I'm getting a little bit ahead, but, might as well. Denver, Green Bay, and New England in December and January. I mean, who the hell made this schedule for us? I mean, seriously. I mean, you couldn't put one of those games, early in the season for us. Oh, no, we got to go in this cold weather, which is fine. I mean, I love the snow games. I mean, shit, it may play to our advantage. Who knows, but they did not do us any favors. So, this is going to be a tough game.
You know what? In a way, I like it. And I like it because you're trying to be a physical football team. You're trying to be a team that can win in the cold.
Right.
And what better way to get there than to see how you perform?
Agreed. I agree. I'm just saying, that, the schedule makers just didn't do us anything. I mean, Can you imagine Denver coming, the Broncos, after practicing, and then coming here in September? I mean, they'd be at a major disadvantage. Sure. Same with the Packers or the Patriots,
Yeah.
But no, they're basically, we're in a situation where we got to do what we got to do. It'll be fun. We may have like 6 snow games, which will be hysterical, right? Starting with Buffalo, as Chris mentioned a few weeks back.
And one thing we didn't mention either is Bo Nix is another guy coming off a broken ankle.
Yeah.
So I know by week 13, he should be back in rhythm. But, we'll see how this team. I mean, this is a team that they were 1 win away from going to the Super Bowl, and had Bo Nix not gotten hurt, I think they would have beat New England because
I think so, without a question.
I think that game was in Denver too, right?
Well, plus the weather was a major factor as well. I mean, the second half, it's ridiculous. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I mean that's it really. I mean, the Broncos defense is
good,
lights out, man.
They're good.
So
they're good.
It's gonna definitely be a tough one.
Yep.
Week 14, we come home, play the Chicago Bears, 5.5-point underdogs.
Yeah, I mean that sounds about right. That's a team who really in the later of last season really came along. They had a nice playoff run. Caleb's starting to really come into his own as that former number 1 overall pick. The defense has been playing good. Ben Johnson, former Dolphin coach, has really got them playing hard. And, we talked about them losing DJ Moore, but they had a rookie last year, Luther Burden, who really stepped up as the number 2. I mean, really, I would say as the number 1, because Roma Dunze, who was also a top 10 pick of theirs a couple years ago, kind of
fell off.
Took a step back. Yeah, took a step back last year for whatever reason. I know he missed a few games with injury, but, I don't know if the chemistry between him and Caleb just hasn't been where they expected it to be, but, it's going to be interesting. I mean, they got two solid tight ends in Cole Kmet and then the guy Colston Loveland, who they drafted last year. And like I said, that defense is playing well too. So that's going to be another tough game.
Yeah, the Bears are a good football team. No, go ahead, Mike.
I was going to say the next 2 weeks are really interesting. Week 15, we go to Green Bay. We're 10.5-point underdogs, and obviously Halfley and Sullivan know the Packers pretty well.
Right.
So it'll be interesting to see how they perform.
Yeah, and Malik going back
to
Green Bay. Again, we'll probably see some snow.
Yeah.
December 20th. I mean, it's going to be great. I mean, this is 5 days before Christmas. Yeah, it's going to be fun to watch them up in Green Bay in December. It'll be a fun game to watch. I'm loving some of this. I really am.
All right, what we're going to do is we're going to take a step back for just a couple minutes, and we'll be right back.
It's good stuff.
I know Halfley's got this game and Sully's got this game circled on their schedule.
Yeah.
5 days before Christmas, hopefully we can go up there and surprise some folks. Jordan Love, I'm not as huge of a fan as everybody else seems to be. They have some good weapons. They have a good running back. They have a couple good tight ends, even though one of them's coming off a major injury. The Packers are going to be an interesting team. I think. What did you say the spread was in this one?
10.5, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this might end up being a closer game than that, even us going into Green Bay. I mean, at this point, week 15, towards the end of the season, I think these guys are going to be playing hard for Halfley, and they know what this is going to mean to him and Sully. So, hopefully they can make it a game and maybe even squeak out a win and surprise some folks.
Mm-hmm. It would surprise me.
Yeah, definitely.
The next week, we come home and we play the Chargers. And, of course, that's going to have Mike McDaniel back here. And that should be interesting.
Yeah.
Well, Mike.
7-point underdogs, by the way.
Isn't that funny? 2 weeks in a row. We play Green Bay. You've got that whole situation. And then the following week, you got McDaniel coming to Miami. The head coach, the GM going to Green Bay, and then the following week, our ex-head coach coming to Miami. Well, I will say this, if McDaniel, coaches the way he did here, we're going to have a shot. Telegraphing 3rd and 1s and stuff like that. Let them do that kind of stuff. I think the Chargers are going to be a very good football team. I think Harbaugh is a good, solid coach. They have some question marks on the defensive side. They were not healthy last year. They have a very, very solid football team. Offensively, their quarterback, he's got to step up at some point, right? I mean, at some point he's got to become that guy that everybody wants him to become. And he's got to start winning big football games, and they got to start going deep into the playoffs at this point. They've surrounded him with some solid young receivers. They've got a great young tight end in Gadsden. This is going to be, listen, Mike McDaniel picked a good situation, right? I mean,
Sure he did.
He's got a real solid offense to work with, a lot of good football players to work with. So, that makes his job a hell of a lot easier. So, I think that this is going to be a very, very tough game for our defense. I think their offense is going to be very, very good, and they're going to be pushing for, seeding in the playoffs. So they're going to have – I think the Chargers are going to have a lot to gain coming down here and winning this football game. So it's going to be a tough game for us.
Yeah, and they have, their 2 offensive linemen who got hurt last year who are back. Amarian Hampton, their rookie running back from last year, missed half of the season. They got Ladd McConkey, Quentin Johnston. They just picked up David Njoku. I mean, they really shouldn't have any reason as to why they're not a top offense, especially with McDaniel coming in and calling the plays. But I think Harbaugh actually is going to be calling the plays, and it's interesting because so McDaniel's the offensive coordinator, but I think he's going to be more so the run game coordinator, like he was in San Francisco. Yeah. And I got another interesting name for you guys. Adam Gase is their passing game coordinator. Yeah. So talk about full circle right there. Yeah. Oh, it's interesting. I mean, their defense, isn't really that solid. So this is going to be a game that, I think that the Chargers will probably pull out, but it's a game that we could squeak out at home. It'll be a late Christmas present.
Who knows what the injury situation will be by week 16?
Yeah, exactly.
that goes pretty much every week late in the year. I mean, if you guys get a chance, watch the Le'Veon Bell interview.
I saw clips.
You saw clips of it when he starts talking about Gase?
Yeah, he said he was partying in his office.
In his office, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I was like taken aback by that, and it wouldn't shock me. It wouldn't.
Did you see that, Mike?
No, I didn't.
He said apparently that he was doing illegal substances in his office
when he walked in.
We saw him vaping on the sideline. It doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Well, no, this isn't McDaniel.
This is Gase.
This is Gase, Mike. We're talking about Gase. Gase.
I had no idea.
Yeah. Well, didn't one of his coaches, get kicked off the team?
Yeah, that was one Forrester, wasn't it?
Yeah, and wasn't
the offensive line coach?
Wasn't he under Gase? Wasn't that on the Gase, or was that on the Flores?
That I'm not 100. I think it was Gase. I don't think it was Flores.
I mean, my goodness, we had a bunch of cocaine users coaching this team.
Sure which.
Who knows? It doesn't matter.
Well, it was Miami, so
yeah.
Yeah, well, I'll give it a bad name.
Scarface.
Say hello to my little friend. Go ahead. What do we got next?
Buffalo the next week. That's January 3rd.
On CBS.
On CBS, 7.5 point underdogs.
Buffalo at Miami on CBS. Yeah, that'll be an interesting game again. We play them, 5 weeks earlier. Twice we play them late in the season, second half of the season. Yeah. So those games are always interesting. And the same with New England. Basically, we play them twice in the second half of the season for the most part, I guess.
Yeah.
So, with Buffalo and then, we go to New England, I'm just going to throw both of these games out. I mean, both of those teams are going to be competing for playoff spots. Both games will be tough games for us. We're going to, we're going to be at a point where, we know where we're at. As far as the football team is concerned, we're going to, as I said, we're going to go against teams 2 weeks in a row that are definitely going to be playoff contenders and probably need to win these football games. So they're going to be tough games, both of them for us.
Yeah, we're 10.5 point underdogs against New England.
Yeah, that time is to be determined. So that's going to be interesting. I guess, they're going to wait and see if it's meaningful game for New England. Exactly. So, tough way to end the year, right? I mean, look at those games. The last 6 games: Denver, Chicago, Green Bay, the Chargers, Buffalo, and New England. I mean, all 6 of those teams should be, if not playoff teams, jockeying. Right. Jockeying for a playoff spot. So that is a really, really tough way to end the schedule, without a question of a doubt. No breaks there whatsoever.
All right. So Alan Poupart wrote an article. I'm not going to read the article, but I'm going to just headline it. He basically wrote down 10 reasons we should be excited. And after reading that schedule, we need some positivity. So here we go. Number 1, a full reset. We finally did it. We should be excited about it.
Check.
The beginnings of bully ball. And with their first round draft pick, you can see where he's coming from.
Okay, well, that remains to be seen without a doubt, because, we thought that way last year with the 2 top picks, and, they both did not, we felt, oh, great, we're going to get, we got some beef on the defensive tackle at the defensive tackle position and at the offensive guard position, and, both of the guys kind of underachieved last year. So
this is an exercise in positivity.
No, I get it, but I'm just saying that, I understand what he's saying. The beginning of bully ball. I mean, that's, okay.
Putting
go ahead.
Suwayanaia back on the right side where he belongs.
Right. It's basically the same approach we did last year, just different names.
Yep.
But go ahead.
Inaugural season expectations or level expectations. Meaning you're starting from scratch and you get to watch it build.
Right. You guys like that, right?
I do.
Chris?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. I do. Absolutely. You know that.
The Caleb Douglas bet. Obviously, he was drafted before a lot of people thought he should be. The question is, as Alan asks, is he a poor man's Randy Moss? And we'll have to see.
Yeah. I mean, that was one of the picks that I didn't really love with some of the other guys that were on the board, who I think were a little bit more polished and NFL ready. But, who knows? They may end up, there's guys, we see it all the time, Puka, Amon-Ra, guys that slide who people didn't really have on their list that ends up becoming one of the best. So, hopefully that's the case here. But,
Yep.
The 5th reason is the defense is getting younger and faster.
Yeah. Okay.
The 6th reason is the team is being built, not bought.
Yes. That's probably one of the best ones so far, without a doubt.
7, Devon Achane, the franchise.
That's another one right at the top.
Number 8, the Malik Willis show.
That's another one.
Mm-hmm.
These last 3 are great. Honestly, great.
Number 9, the trade deadline frenzy.
Yeah. Oh, you mean the moves we made
the moves potentially we could make coming up.
Oh, yeah. Well, we talked about that already.
Yep.
Good.
Number 10, low stress, high hopes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Right. I mean, listen, everybody going into this season is just like, oof. I mean, are we going to win any football games? So, anything that we do in a positive manner is going to be a good thing. The low expected, there's no pressure whatsoever.
That's right.
I mean, when you look at the last few years, we always were, we were always questioning, the coaching. We were questioning the contracts that were thrown out. And I'll be honest with you. I mean, any decisions that we made over the last 4 years, I didn't agree with. I mean, right down,
they were all wrong.
Right down the line. Well, I mean, at the time, though, Mike. I mean, I'm not talking. And you know that. I mean, it's not like I'm. It's hindsight. I felt that they were bad decisions to begin with. I think you did. I think Chris, to some extent, did. The fact that. We're all on the same page, and I think most Dolphin fans, anybody who's listening, should feel the same way, that all the decision making that went on from, the personnel and the head coach and the GM and the draft picks, again, it's all a big question mark right now, but there's a lot to be excited about as compared to, past years, to where we felt that we were going to be a competitive football team, and we kept bringing guys in, and we kept signing guys to extensions, and, saying, oh, we got to have these guys. We're a couple players away. And it just never developed, for a million different reasons. So,
like he said, built, not bought.
Built, not bought. Exactly. Young blood. Young, hungry guys. Yes. I mean, I totally agree with it, and, it's going to be a fun year.
I don't know how fun the year is going to be, because you can't help but want to win. You're going to watch a game, you're going to want them to win. That's just the way it goes.
Yeah.
But I think you have to temper your expectations as well. They're going to be outmanned. I went over the salary figures, for the team, and they're going to be outmanned. There's no way they're not going to be outmanned in almost every one of these games. So we'll have to temper those expectations and look for positives. Look for the first-round draft pick to play like a first-round draft pick. Look for the cornerback to develop as a cornerback. Those are the things you'll be looking for. How does Hafley coach when the game is on the line? Does he make mistakes? Are they running out the clock, and not getting the plays in on time? Are they making mistakes that losers make, or is the operation smooth and maybe they're not talented enough to win, but they're doing the right things systematically to create wins later?
Chris, did your head fall off?
A golf ball just fell off my desk. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're golfing these days? I didn't know that. Oh,
please don't drop your balls on the show, okay?
All right. So anyway, all right. Let me get the giggles out. I mean, did you hear that, Mike?
I know, it was just rolling around.
I know, I heard it. It sounded like you were throwing a bowling ball.
So did everybody else. No, let's get back on track.
All right. Yeah. All right.
All right. So
hold on.
I've got nothing else, guys. Any comments you want to make?
Yeah, I mean, getting back to what you just said, I mean, expectations. I mean, you'd have to be a real fool to think that, that you should have any expectations, as Chris mentioned earlier in the show. He said something about, seeing the guys develop, and I think you mentioned it once or twice as well. I mean, that's what you want to see. I mean, any Dolphin fan out there who is expecting this team to compete for a playoff spot, I mean, that'd be phenomenal, right? But, it's not realistic. So, I mean, I'm not calling anybody a fool out there, but, everybody has to understand that. And I think they do. Anybody who knows the game of football knows that that's going to be the case this year.
We're, like I said, it's 2-1 money-wise. We're going to be playing teams that are paying double what we are paying our players because of all the dead cap.
Mm-hmm.
So
yes,
automatically we're going to be at a star level disadvantage.
Yes, absolutely.
So that's the way it goes. The guys we have will have to perform the best they can, and if they can pull out some wins here or there, great.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah, one of the main things I'm gonna be paying attention to throughout the season that I definitely want to see change compared to the past regime is just discipline. I think Hafley is not only going to hold them accountable, but it's just going to have this team more disciplined because, I mean, with the team under McDaniel, there was just, whether it was his first year or even up to last year, just the team never seemed like they were prepared. They were undisciplined. It was like the opposite of what Flores was before. So I'm looking forward to seeing this team come out and be just more disciplined, prepared, and, just giving fights every game, not just rolling over because we're a lot less talented than some of the more talented teams in the league.
Agreed. Yep.
All right, guys. Thanks for joining me today, and thanks for listening, everybody. We do appreciate it. If you could subscribe to the show, that would be great. And leave a review, a 5-star comment. We would appreciate that as well. You can find us anywhere, as you probably already know. And until next week, fins up, everybody.
Fins up.
Fins up, Dolphins.
And that's the end of another show. I want to thank the Believe Network for allowing us to join them this year, and the Dolphins Talk Network, who we've been a part of for many years. I want to thank both of these outfits. They're exceptional people, and we're proud and honored just to be a part of it. Until next time, take care.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.